Did you know that the very stress you're feeling could be sabotaging your weight loss efforts? Today, on Good Cup of Health, we're diving deep into cortisol, the hidden fat loss killer that most people overlook. But first, let's break it down. What exactly is cortisol, and why is it important for your weight loss journey? Experts from the Cleveland Clinic state that cortisol is a hormone secreted by the adrenal glands that helps your body deal with stress. Your adrenals are tiny, walnut-sized glands that sit just above your kidneys. According to research from Leah Matlis, in her book, 25 Golden Rules to Live By for Successful Weight Loss, the adrenal glands not only secrete cortisol, but they also help regulate your blood sugar, carbohydrates, fat, and proteins. They monitor your blood pressure, regulate water retention, and help regulate your gut's digestion and nutrient absorption. These tiny glands do a lot of work, don't they? Harvard Health states that your adrenal glands also secrete epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, a hormone that prepares your body for a fight-or-flight situation. Like adrenaline, cortisol prepares your body for a fight-or-flight situation, but in a slightly different way. Adrenaline and cortisol can raise your blood sugar, and your body can have high adrenaline levels when you're repeatedly exposed to stressful situations. But in this video, we focus on cortisol. There is tons of research on cortisol and its effects on the body under prolonged stress. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's go back to cortisol and weight gain. Research has shown that prolonged cortisol can lead to several conditions, including weight gain. This condition affects both men and women. However, experts from the Kelsey-Seybold Clinic note that excess cortisol is considered a big factor in hormonal imbalances in women. I feel it's important to mention that short-term, temporary stress is normal and even expected. Just about all of us will go through stressful moments. There are even positive stressors like exercise, and your body uses adrenaline and cortisol to help you power through that workout. But if you are in a situation where your life is in jeopardy and you need to run or fight off an attacker, cortisol, along with adrenaline, will also help you out. However, it's when you're constantly subjected to stressful situations that cortisol becomes a problem. With the constant stimuli of today, stressful situations always seem present. A large percentage of women handle many things at once, like work, parenting, home life, and so forth. Experts at the Kelsey-Seybold Clinic highlighted a 2019 American Psychological Association study that revealed roughly 30 to 60% of women were dealing with the symptoms of hormonal imbalance, and up to 72% of participants did not know their symptoms could be from hormonal imbalances. How does excess cortisol contribute to weight gain? Here are 6 ways this condition keeps you in a constant weight gain and weight loss loop. Number 6, increase in appetite. According to Leah Matlis in her book, 25 Golden Rules to Live By for Successful Weight Loss, high cortisol levels can trick you into eating more by increasing appetite hormones like corticotropin-releasing hormone, or CRH, and neuropeptide Y, or NPY. Cortisol could also make your brain less sensitive to another hormone called leptin. Number 5, insulin resistance. Dr. Rachel Magerman from Rupa Health notes that too much cortisol can also increase your chances of developing insulin resistance. With insulin resistance, your cells have become desensitized to insulin because of high secretion, numbing the cell's response to insulin. Insulin resistance can lead to a whole host of health problems, including type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, liver issues, heart disease, and weight gain. Number 4, the cortisol belly. Interestingly enough, adrenaline has been shown to contribute to the cortisol belly. When the adrenal glands consistently secrete cortisol due to long-term stress, this increases the amount of glucose, blood sugar, in the bloodstream, which eventually gets stored as fat, mainly in the belly, creating the cortisol belly. A cortisol belly can turn into its own endocrine organ and attract more fat because many receptors for cortisol are in the belly's fat cells. Number 3. For some people, cortisol may use amino acids for energy. As Leah Matlis pointed out in her book, due to the catabolic nature of cortisol, it could turn to protein as an energy source in stressful situations. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein, and when cortisol uses them, it robs your body of protein and can put a damper on your weight loss efforts. Your muscles need protein to build and stay metabolically active, thus helping you burn fat and lose weight. Number 2. Reduce thyroid function. As Dr. Megan Geek-Perry, PAC of Rupa Health, pointed out, cortisol secretion over a long period can mess with your thyroid. And other experts note that the adrenal glands and thyroid are interrelated, and too much cortisol can interrupt thyroid function, putting you at risk for hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism could also lead to weight gain and other health problems. Number 1. Poor sleep. Typically, under normal conditions, cortisol drops at night, making it easier to fall asleep. But with high cortisol, brain activity increases during inappropriate hours, like when you're trying to get some sleep. Sleep plays an important role in helping us achieve our weight loss goals. Now that we have a better understanding of how cortisol can make it harder for you to lose weight, let's look at some of the symptoms of this condition. According to experts, some of the most common signs of high cortisol include weight gain and an inability to lose weight, high amounts of belly fat from the cortisol belly, fatty deposits between the shoulder blades, a lot of weight gain in the face, cravings for unhealthy foods, backaches, chronic headaches, slow healing, easy bruising, proximal muscle weakness, severe fatigue, easily flushed face, irritability, and extreme moodiness. Other symptoms may include difficulty sleeping at night, high blood pressure, heart disease, difficulty concentrating, thinning skin, and premature skin aging. You may need coffee to wake you up or get you through the day. Low libido or no desire for physical intimacy, perpetual sadness, and anxiety. You may also have gut and stomach issues such as abdominal pain, heartburn, constant diarrhea, or constipation because the gastrointestinal tract is sensitive to cortisol. If you have low thyroid function or hypothyroidism, that may also be a sign, as researchers have discovered a link between the two conditions. Quick question. Have you experienced any of these symptoms? If you feel comfortable sharing, let's get the conversation started in the comments section. You never know, your comment may help someone else. Let's briefly look at the factors keeping your body in an all-day cortisol-burning furnace. Emotional and physical stress. These two are the most obvious. Whether it's a job, a stressful relationship, or something else like over-exercising, these can mimic a fight-or-flight situation that increases cortisol. The next factors I'm about to mention aren't known as physical or emotional stressors, but they do stress the body in some capacity. Unhealthy diets increase cortisol. A slice of pizza or cake here or there won't hurt, but if you constantly eat them and other overly processed foods that are fried or high in unhealthy fat, added sugar, salt, and refined carbohydrates, you are unknowingly increasing cortisol in your body. These foods are pro-inflammatory and could trigger cortisol release when eaten constantly and in high amounts. Nutritional deficiencies. Leah Matlis pointed out in her book that nutritional deficiencies through unhealthy diets, malabsorption, or other reasons could trigger cortisol release. Your adrenal glands rely on vitamins and minerals to help your body deal with stress, and deficiencies could trigger cortisol release. Dehydration. If your body is constantly dehydrated, it could trigger cortisol release. Even slight dehydration could spike cortisol levels. In an interview with WebMD, registered dietitian Amanda Carlson explained that when you're dehydrated, you're putting a form of stress on your body that increases cortisol. Very low-calorie diets and crash diets can increase cortisol. If you are on a very low-calorie diet or a crash diet, your body may not be getting enough calories and healthy carbs, fat, and protein. And according to research, these types of diets can increase cortisol and may even reduce thyroid function. If you are still watching this video, thank you. If you find the information in this video helpful, consider liking it. It helps us out greatly because it lets YouTube know you find our video useful and will get recommended to others who may need this information. Next on the list, lack of sleep. Your body needs adequate sleep to regulate hormones, lower inflammation, and revitalize your cells and brain. But with a lack of sleep, all these processes get disrupted and increase cortisol, and your appetite may increase. Other factors that increase or dysregulate cortisol include health conditions like kidney diseases or type 2 diabetes, drinking too much caffeine, drinking too much alcohol, gluten intolerance, malabsorption, and maldigestion. Having too much excess weight can increase cortisol. An inverse relationship exists between cortisol, inflammation, and weight gain. Cortisol promotes inflammation and weight gain promotes even more cortisol and inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation from high body fat increases cortisol. As Leah Matlis points out in her book, fat cells are more than just fat cells. They can also act as endocrine organs. This is especially true for belly fat. Belly fat can act as an endocrine organ and accept more fat. If you have a lot of belly fat, it is constantly sending out pro-inflammatory cytokines that create persistent low-grade inflammation. This persistent low-grade inflammation increases cortisol and increases the risk of health conditions like clogged arteries, heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and atherosclerosis, which is built-up plaque on the artery walls. Now that we know some of the most common causes of chronic high cortisol levels, how do we go about reducing it so we can lose weight? There are many ways to lower cortisol levels that will jumpstart weight loss, but we must address our lifestyle and eating habits and make changes where necessary. I should point out that it will probably be easier to manage physical stress than emotional and mental stress, as those are more complicated. They may require the help of a trusted friend or therapist. For physical stressors, we should aim to incorporate exercise. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends at least 150 minutes of moderately intense exercise a week. Research shows that moderate exercise has been shown to help lower high cortisol levels. Exercise also helps release endorphins, which are our body's natural defense against stress, and they give us a natural high. But I should mention that experts warn that over-exercising has the opposite effect and can increase cortisol. Next on the list cannot be said enough. If possible, get more sleep. Sleep is our best friend. It helps our body regulate hormones, boosts our immune system, rejuvenates our brain and cells, and of course, regulates cortisol. As I mentioned earlier, lack of sleep can wreak havoc on our bodies and create all sorts of hormonal imbalances that can lead to weight gain. Consider the 3-2-1 method. Popularized by sleep and clinical psychologist Dr. Michael Bruce, the 3-2-1 method is a set of small steps to take before bed to help you relax and ease into deep sleep. 3 hours before bed, do not drink alcohol. 2 hours before bed, do not eat food. And 1 hour before, do not drink fluids, including water. Dr. Bruce also recommends trying to avoid looking at your phone or sleeping with the TV on. And my personal recommendation is to try not to engage in strenuous physical activities before bedtime. Next on the list, establish regular eating habits. Try to develop regular eating habits with good, nutrient-dense, wholesome meals at regular intervals. Generally, our bodies have a natural circadian rhythm, and we should try to eat according to that rhythm. Cortisol cycles tend to follow the body's rhythm. So, try to mimic it by starting your day with a nutrient-dense, high-protein meal and then tapering your meals as the day unfolds. There's a saying, eat like a king for breakfast, a prince for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. Try including some healthy fibrous carbs and a moderate amount of healthy fat along with protein to help you feel fuller longer. If you eat a snack between your main meals, make it as healthy as possible. Try to limit snacks to 1 or 2 a day, but preferably 1. Eat anti-inflammatory foods to lower high cortisol levels. Remember when I mentioned earlier that an inverse relationship exists between cortisol, inflammation, and weight gain? Cortisol promotes inflammation and weight gain promotes even more cortisol and inflammation. One way to counteract high cortisol, inflammation, and weight gain is to eat foods rich in anti-inflammatory properties. Anti-inflammatory foods include vegetables. This also includes starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, winter squashes, and green peas, fatty fish, skinless poultry, beans, whole sprouted grains, avocado, nuts and seeds, organic grass-fed collagen powder or bone broth, and fresh fruit. Some vegetables and fruits stand out for their ability to support adrenal health. Cucumbers, with the skin, may help the adrenal glands and hydrate the lymphatic system. And celery assists with bile production and may support the adrenal glands. Essential fatty acids from omega-3 sources include chia seeds, kidney and navy beans, walnuts, sardines, salmon, anchovies, algal oil, and flax seeds. Omega-3s from fish are also available in quality fish oil supplements. You can also go to your favorite search engine and type list of anti-inflammatory foods for a more comprehensive list. For a caffeine substitute, consider mushroom blends. These blends use mushrooms that help the body deal with stress and balance hormones. Some of these blends may contain chaga, lion's mane, reishi, maitake, and cordyceps. Other caffeine-free options may include chai, caffeine-free carob powder, green juices, and green tea. Even though some teas contain caffeine, they usually contain much less per cup when compared to coffee. Plus, teas like green tea contain many anti-inflammatory and hormone-balancing compounds. For example, research shows L-theanine could help lower cortisol and is found in green tea. Foods to avoid or limit when lowering high cortisol. If you want to lower inflammation and cortisol, these foods and drinks should be limited or avoided. They include fast food, processed foods, caffeinated coffee, conventional fruit juices, sodas and soft drinks, gluten-based products, refined grains, white bread, white rice, regular and refined pasta, dried fruits, fried foods, foods with added sugar, and some dairy products. Alcohol should also be limited or avoided. When it comes to coffee, the debate on it is ongoing. While it has many health benefits, in some people it can raise cortisol levels. Next, address potential vitamin and mineral deficiencies. As I mentioned earlier, vitamin and mineral deficiencies can increase cortisol. In a state of constant stress, they get depleted quickly. If you have any vitamin and mineral deficiencies, work with your doctor to bring them up to the optimal range. B vitamins help your body regulate cortisol levels, and vitamin C is very beneficial for adrenal gland health as it helps create cortisol and supports the immune system. Zinc, magnesium, selenium, chromium, and manganese are very important for adrenal gland health. It's best to work with your doctor to address any vitamin or mineral deficiencies because they can make sure you don't end up getting too much. High levels of vitamins and minerals can be just as problematic as too low. It's also worth noting that Leah Mattles pointed out in her book that vitamin and mineral deficiencies could contribute to weight gain. Next, ditch crash diets. Crash diets and very low diets can increase cortisol levels. We should aim for a moderate caloric intake. The general suggestions are at least 1,500 to 1,800 calories for women and 1,800 to 2,000 calories for men, with a focus on quality protein, wholesome carbohydrates, and a moderate amount of healthy fat. But remember, these are general numbers, and your caloric intake numbers may be slightly higher or lower depending on various factors. For protein, experts from the Cleveland Clinic recommend at least 25 to 35 grams per main meal. You may or may not meet this daily recommendation. Some days you may have slightly less protein than other days. Good quality protein bars and shakes may help fill in the gaps when meeting protein needs. But be sure to check the sugar content. Leah Mattles mentions some of these suggestions in her book, but also takes it a step further with including holistic methods such as engaging in yoga, meditation practices, getting massages, and deep breathing exercises. She also recommends earthing. Earthing is when you directly connect to the earth, whether by standing or walking barefoot on grass, soil, or sand. She referenced other ways to lower cortisol levels, such as taking warm baths, finding ways to laugh throughout the day, staying away from negative shows at night, like the news, having more positive thoughts throughout the day, limiting social media, and trying tapping therapy. This next suggestion may be a bit controversial, but it needs to be said. It's important to address toxic relationships and situations, as they can be the source of your stress, increased cortisol, and even weight gain. Some people have mentioned the weight loss they've experienced after leaving toxic relationships or toxic situations, supplements that could lower high cortisol levels. Specific herbs and extracts could help lower cortisol levels by helping you deal with stress and bring hormonal balance. These are mainly known as adaptogenic herbs, and they perform a wide range of functions in the body, but they're mostly known for helping the body cope with stress. The most famous one being ashwagandha. Other well-known and recommended herbs and fungi include Panax ginseng, holy basil, astragalus root, rhodiola, cordyceps mushrooms, reishi mushrooms, schisandra berry, turmeric, turkesterone, eleuthero, and magnolia bark. These herbs and extracts can be purchased separately or in combined blends. If any of these herbs and extracts pique your interest, please research them in further detail, preferably with a doctor. Now that we know the different methods to lower high cortisol, let's look at tests that could help us determine if we have high cortisol. 1. ACTH test. This test measures cortisol levels in the body. Your doctor will measure your cortisol levels and then inject adrenal corticotropic hormone, or ACTH, into your body. Then they will test you again after about an hour. This test lets your doctor see how your adrenals respond to stress. 2. Cortisol level test. Blood, urine, or saliva samples may be obtained, but some doctors believe saliva samples are the most effective in detecting cortisol levels. For saliva samples, your doctor may have you collect 3 to 4 samples at different times within 24 hours. 3. DHEA ratio cortisol test, or a 17p cortisol ratio test. If your doctor wants to do more testing, they might perform this test. In this video, we learned so much about cortisol and what can cause its levels to rise. We also learned what we could do to help lower it. High cortisol levels over a prolonged period can bring on all sorts of health problems and put a damper on our weight loss goals. It is in our best interests to do what we can to lower cortisol to sustainable and healthy levels. If you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it. Someone you know and care about may be dealing with this too and not even know it. Until next time, thank you for watching.